Hi and welcome back to Like Maria from Cambridge. Today I'm going to suggest a shortcut for revising poetry anthology. So I'm working with the power and conflict cluster from AQA, but this would apply to any anthology, but obviously the poems will be different. Remember that in the exam you will have one set poem and that will be printed for you. So to a certain extent you don't need to know that poem that's printed for you backwards. Okay, if you do, fantastic. Of course you need to read all of the poems in the anthology, but I'm going to suggest that you pick 7 to know really well. Firstly, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of a multi-purpose poem, and for this I'm going to use Kamikaze. So Kamikaze is a poem that can be used in multiple different ways. I'm going to list some topics where you could use Kamikaze. So you can use Kamikaze to talk about an individual's perspective on war and their individual experience and the way it is told by a third person. You can use Kamikaze to talk about nature when the pilot looks down and sees the beauty of nature and how it's described, and this affects his mind. You can use Kamikaze to talk about society and how as part of society there are expectations and how society rejects the pilot and how he has made a choice to turn back, and he probably knows what problems this will create for him. You can use Kamikaze to discuss the physical aspects of war, the damage that war might create to a family, to a society, to an individual. The reality of war and the choices that people have to make and the lives they therefore have to live. You can use Kamikaze to talk about a person's identity and what makes them an identity. Is it being part of a country, being part of a family, or being part of an individual? So there you can see I've got 7 topics that you could use Kamikaze to cover. So for me, Kamikaze is a no-brainer. Now it may be that you have different multi-purpose poems, and that's absolutely fine, but what I would urge you to do is learn them before you go into the exam. I would suggest that you learn 7, and I'm going to give you my 7 now. So I'm going to go through those themes again that I did with Kamikaze and just pop in other poems that would work. So I'm looking at individual perspectives to begin with, and I'm thinking My Last Duchess. It's great for form because it's a monologue. It's great for anything to do with the presentation of women. And it's great for the way that the speaker delivers in this voice. Number 2, nature. I'm going for Seamus Heaney, Storm on the Island. Storm on the Island, really short poem, really well constructed, really tight verse. So a really good one to talk about with the imagery of nature and the wind and man battling against it. Also man being part of a community. For number 3, society, I'm going for London. Again, really good, different type of poem, different type of form. It stands out. It's got great rhyme scheme that you can talk about, and it's got this romantic background that Blake is part of. When I come to talk about physical war, number 4, I would probably go for Exposure. That's got a lot of nature in it, but it's also got a lot of the brutality and the physicality involved in war. Number 5, looking at damage to individuals or to communities, I'm definitely going to go to Remains here. I think that's a great poem where you're able to think about all those ideas. For my reality of war, I'd probably go to Kamikaze, as I've said before. Maybe I might go to Poppies. I think that's quite a good one, Jane Weir, and it's the reality of war for an individual. And lastly, identity, and I can't recommend this enough, checking out my history. Checking out my history is a no-brainer to revise. It's got a bit of history in it, it's got personal identity, it's got great value in terms of looking at the voice and looking at the structure of the poem. So I really would urge you to do that. Good luck in the exam. Remember to like and subscribe.